Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Alberta News and Views. Lots going on today. Let's jump right into it. From the legendary Larry Brock, breaking news. Explosive new RCMP records on SNC-Lavalin scandal. Trudeau should have been charged. Newly released RCMP records prove what Canadians knew all along. Justin Trudeau and his inner circle criminally obstructed justice to kill the SNC-Lavalin prosecution and protect Liberal votes. A top Trudeau aide even admitted the pressure campaign on Jody Wilson-Raybould was meant to help the Liberals get re-elected. But the RCMP's investigation was a joke, weak, incomplete, and designed to protect Trudeau, and they drug it out over years and years and years on purpose, hoping that you would forget all about it. Of course, this is from the Bureau. Investigative journalist Sam Cooper. We need to start protecting Sam Cooper because he has been dropping bombs every single day for probably the last 2 weeks. I've been following this guy for a year, and it's crazy how much stuff he digs up, and I am so glad that he is getting the attention that he deserves now. New RCMP records reveal Trudeau aide tied SNC-Lavalin pressure to election strategy. Give him a follow on Substack. It's the Bureau. He's got lots of stuff. He's bringing up old stuff, connecting dots. It's all coming together now. Mark Carney's done. This liberal NDP government has no legs to stand on. There's a reason all of these liberal minions, these ministers, are jumping ship because they know it's all coming down. Legendary Larry Brock continues on. Over 4 years, the RCMP only interviewed 4 people. Never Trudeau, his cabinet, or the dozen others involved in the pressure campaign. The RCMP never considered breach of trust charges, despite overwhelming evidence. They called the probe an assessment to mislead the public and pretend they weren't investigating Justin Trudeau. They accepted Justin Trudeau's cabinet secrecy order and never applied for a search warrant to obtain secret PMO records. They relied entirely on Trudeau's public denials, ignoring the actual evidence. Initially, the RCMP confirmed that Trudeau and his officials pressured Wilson-Raybould, the definition of obstruction of justice. The definition of obstruction of justice. Then they changed the legal standard, falsely claiming they needed proof of corrupt intent to justify not laying charges. Absolutely disgusting. This was a political cover-up, not a real investigation. The evidence was there, the law was clear, but the Liberal government obstructed justice, interfered in a criminal prosecution, and covered it up to hold on to power. This is what two-tier justice looks like. One standard for Justin Trudeau and another for the rest of us. Canadians were lied to. This is corruption at the highest level. I love the comments. This is why the RCMP commissioner needs to become an officer of Parliament. Additionally, the ethics commissioner needs to have criminal investigation and prosecution powers. There's a reason why Danielle Smith wants an Alberta police force. There's a reason she doesn't trust them at the border. All roads lead to Western independence. I cannot say that enough. We have systemic corruption at the top. It is in all of our institutions. It is disgusting. It has tentacles. It needs to be destroyed. So, group calls for private prosecution of Prime Minister Trudeau for role in SNC-Lavalin affair. Listen to this. They're going after him.
Are you concerned that because of the passage of time and, as you can see, the perhaps loss of interest even at the committee level to pursue this to the fullest, that I think the Prime Minister's office is probably interested in this going away and delaying, and that they've actually accomplished that goal, and there's been a loss of faith in the system?
Yes, concerning the delay, this is the great Canadian way. Unfortunately, and it's why Democracy Watch is also calling today for a new, fully independent anti-corruption police force to be established. Several other experts have called for this for years as well. because the RCMP has done such a bad job, has such a bad record in these kind of anti-corruption cases, also including cases involving money laundering, which is often tied into corruption. And it's just well documented how weak and ineffective their investigations and actions are, in part, again, because they lack independence from the Prime Minister. And we need a new national anti-corruption police force that is fully independent, with a team of fully independent prosecutors. Because what we have is, again, concerning the delay, we have a system where the police often delay things. The government delays giving information to the police in these cases. Years go by and they're hoping that possibly someone will retire from their position or resign, and then the great Canadian way is to let them walk away without any accountability for any alleged wrongdoing. And this needs to stop. Democracy Watch has tracked the overall system. It's very weak and ineffective over the years. International entities like Transparency International have ranked Canada in terms of its overall anti-corruption system, and this recent survey that came out from Transparency International puts Canada at the lowest position world in terms of other comparison to other countries that it's ever been at. And
this is what I am talking about. The RCMP and the government work in tandem. There is no accountability anymore. It's done. It's done. It is systemic corruption at the deepest level. And all the serious countries and institutions around the world know this. They know what is going on in Canada. They are astounded that the Canadian people have not done anything about it, that we have not risen up and got control of our country. All roads lead to Western independence. I'm just going to leave it at that because I got a lot more to go over. Just know Democracy Watch is going after Justin Trudeau's government, hoping to get third-party judges and lawyers and defense, things like that, because our government is compromised. It's nuts. I'll keep you updated with all of this stuff. It's crazy. It's crazy. Here's Danielle Smith held a press conference today. She addresses health contract allegations. Okay. I watched this whole thing, so you don't have to. It's just more of the same crap. They're going after Danielle Smith, blasting out hypotheticals. None of it really makes any sense. So I just took out the important part that you need to hear, and you can come to your own conclusions. Here we go.
My follow-up is, Premier, you've talked about your role and your lack of role in any wrongdoing. Have you had an eye constantly, or did you have an eye constantly on what your Chief of Staff, Marshall Smith, was doing vis-a-vis Alberta Health Services and Alberta Health? Were you always aware of what he was doing, who he was talking to, or was he at times freelancing?
Well, I think Marshall Smith has his own statement of defense that he's probably contemplating filing, and so
he's not a party in this lawsuit. I'm confused by that.
I would say that there's certainly some allegations that have been made against him, and I don't want to speak for him, but I would say that he had the role and function over several of my social files. And if there were any problems that needed to be troubleshooted, then he would do that. I think we have to remember that when AHS makes a decision to go out and do an RFP, awards a contract, gets involved in contract negotiations, if it's taking 4 years, it's actually quite legitimate to say, what's the delay? And that's what the minister did, and I kind of expect all of my ministers to do that.
So you're aware of everything that he was alleged, you're aware of all the calls he was alleged to have made?
I was not. I mean, he, again, as Chief of Staff, he had the role of operationally making sure that the decisions of government were executed. And government made a decision prior to me, prior to even Minister LaGrange being in this position, government made the decision to move towards charter surgical centres to reduce wait times. It was working, so they decided to issue more RFPs. AHS had the expertise to do procurement. They'd been doing it for years. And so it just stood to reason that AHS would be the one managing the process from beginning to end, all the way through to the completion and signing of the contract. And that's what I would say is what we were asking about is, why have you where is the status of getting through to the end of this process? AHS controlled the process from the beginning to the end. They had different prices that they were negotiating with different facilities, and we need to get to the bottom of that. I'm very interested in hearing what the Auditor General has to say about it. But the role of the minister is making sure the policy that we have passed is executed. And asking questions, where are we at on that contract, is a reasonable thing to do.
Everybody in Canada knows that our free healthcare is way over budget. It is just all of our money goes to this free healthcare. Just focusing on Alberta, Ontario is even worse. Just focusing on Alberta it's just like every other government contract when they try to build something. These contractors find out that it's government. They just overcharge these lucrative contracts, and they just pretty much steal the money. That's AHS in a nutshell. Year over year, the administration, they just take all of this money, overcharge government, and nothing ever gets built, nothing ever gets done, and our healthcare sucks. If I was ever to run for a politician in Alberta, probably for independence, I would be just open about it. Danielle Smith should have been open about it when she ran her campaign. I would say that I'm just going to completely get rid of the CUPE nonsense, AHS, and the ATA, Alberta Teachers Association. Complete reform, getting rid of it. Having a baseline healthcare, baseline education, all of that stuff is free. Anything above that, it's an open market. Everything is wide open. We got to start doing things properly, because then when I'm elected, it would be no surprise that I'm going after them and getting rid of them. Kind of like a Doge approach that the United States is doing with their government. Do the same thing. Get in there. Get right in there. Get all the information out. Absolute truth for all of Alberta to see at just how corrupt the unions are. The Alberta Teachers Association, AHS, all of it. All of it. So people can see where all of their money has gone. You know, the proper way to view a person working and their taxes is to view their money as a resource. People go to work to get resources, which is their money, which they use to survive. To have government take it, taxation is theft, to have them take it and piss it all away or even steal it is so criminal in my mind that they should be going to jail. It's just like this SNC-Lavalin crap. How many more times, how many more scandals, how many more times are we going to hear the RCMP, blah, 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 fill in the blank? They knew, they drug it out. Nothing ever happens. There is no justice anymore. It is absolutely disgusting. We need justice. That's probably what I call my political party. Either liberty or justice. Something like that. It's just crazy. Continuing on. Donald Trump is speaking some serious truth and Europe about Ukraine, and Europe does not like it one bit. Zelensky doesn't like Trump anymore. Apparently they don't want peace and they don't want to know the truth. There is a very, very different story coming from the United States and with Europe. And it's ridiculous that Europe is tripling down on their Ukraine nonsense when everybody that's been paying attention knows what's going on with Ukraine before and during this war, with all of the money being stolen and missing. It is just truly brutal. This is from Bricks News. U.S. President Trump calls for Ukraine to hold new elections. That's not a Russia thing. That's something coming from me. He's saying the Ukrainian people need to decide what they want to happen with Ukraine. Seems pretty diplomatic to me, right? They say that they are democracy. Calls Zelensky a dictator, but I think it's hilarious. You know who else doesn't get to have elections? Canada. We don't even have government right now. Justin Trudeau is preventing the Canadian people from having an election and punting his ass. Unreal. Here's Donald Trump.
We're hearing that Russia wants to force Ukraine to hold new elections in order to sign any kind of a peace deal. Is that something that the U.S. would ever support?
Well, we have Situation where we haven't had elections in Ukraine, where we have martial law, essentially martial law in Ukraine, where the leader in Ukraine, I mean, I hate to say it, but he's down at 4% approval rating, and where a country has been blown to smithereens. You got most of the cities are laying on their sides. The buildings are collapsed. It looks like a massive demolition site. The whole, I mean, so many of the cities. I mean, they haven't done it in Kiev because I guess they don't want to shoot too many rockets in there. They've done it 20%, but they haven't done it 100%. If they wanted to do it 100%, it would probably happen very quickly. But you have cities that are absolutely decimated. And yeah, I would say that, you know, when they want a seat at the table, you could say the people have to, wouldn't the people of Ukraine have to say, like, you know, it's been a long time since we've had an election. That's not a Russia thing. That's something coming from me and coming from many other countries also.
Exactly. Seems like common sense. The common sense thing to say. He's just saying it as it is. I would totally talk like Donald Trump in Alberta. Why doesn't Canada have politicians that speak like this? Like, seriously. AHS has been scamming lucrative contracts for years. This is well known in Alberta. Blah, 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 blah. It's no surprise. They don't need to kind of dodge or soften the blow of questions like that in answers. Danielle Smith should just let him rip. We all know how she feels about AHS. She's gutting it. Continuing on. I love to show people the advancement in robotics, okay? Because this is the future. There's cobots. This is going to be a cobot. Labor is going to be too expensive because of unions and things like that. So Megacorp and anybody with half a brain is going to start using robots because they don't complain about anything and they show up on time, show up to work. It is unbelievable. Do I agree with it? I'm not 100%. I love the idea. But like I always say, the world is being run right now by psychopaths, by these globalist crazy people. And that's not right. If the world, hopefully, is being run by normal people like myself, we would be embracing the AI and robotics because they are going to help us out a lot. Believe me. So this is from Dom. This is from Clone Robotics. They just released footage of the world's first bipedal musculoskeletal android. Man. Why can't they name it something? Clone is manufacturing only 279 units of the limited edition Clone Alpha. These androids designed for the home with a new telekinesis training platform to attempt to teach the clone new skills. Check this out, people. Pre-installed skills. Memorizes your clean home layout, memorizes your kitchen inventory, capable of witty dialogue, shaking hands with your friends, pours drinks for you, makes you sandwiches, washes, dries, and folds your clothes, vacuums your floors, turns the lights on and off, sets the dining table, loads and unloads the dishwasher, follows you around, holds items for you, retrieves items for you, charges itself, and it is equipped with a telekinesis training platform to let you teach your Clone Alpha new skills. It can learn. Check this out. I turned the volume off because they're using, of course, doomsday audio, and it is way too loud and it is ridiculous. All I really wanted to show you is the capability of it moving its legs, because you can actually see everything inside of it moving around just like real muscles, and the knee. Everybody I show these videos to goes, oh, that's not really impressive. Yeah, it is, because how quick they advance is unreal. It'll be lifelike in a few years, if not 1 year, guaranteed. I will keep you updated with as much as I can when I can. Follow me on Substack, Spotify, and YouTube. We are still growing. Give Sam Cooper a follow. If you don't want to follow him, fine. Just go check out the Bureau on X or on Substack and read it. He makes it very accessible. And I'm telling you now, it's a lot of documents. There's a lot of stuff there. Same with Andrea Lee. She really exposes the Chinese Trudeau connection in Canada. She's been working on that for over a year for sure. All of you out there, like, share, and take care.